Hi, my name is Lily, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a weekly reading vlog. It is Tuesday and I meant to start this on Monday but I forgot, so you're getting it on Tuesday. It is the first full week of October, so I'm going to be doing some updates for that. If you haven't seen my announcement video, I'll link it somewhere here. And that is a readathon focusing on reading as many arcs as possible this month, which I will be trying to do because I think I have like 60 of them to get through. I tend to get a lot of them approved in batches after they've come out, which is really annoying because you're not motivated to read them if the book's already out. But anyway, I'm going to be reading some arcs and then I've got some other books on the go as well. So currently I'm reading 2 books as my primary reads. My physical read at the moment is Nothing More to Tell by McManus. This is a physical arc, obviously, that I was sent by the publisher unsolicited, so it is gifted, but I haven't been asked to do anything specifically with this. I haven't got a tour or anything, it was just sent to me. So this is the new standalone McManus, and it is about a girl who is in high school, and at some point, I think when she was in middle school, one of her teachers is found dead by 3 of her classmates. And since then she's moved away and now she is returning to this town and she has this internship with a journalist and she is going to be doing a sort of true crime investigation into what happened to this teacher, because the conclusion the police came to just kind of seems a bit fishy. So that's what that one is about. It sounds interesting. I've only read 2 McManus so far, I think, which is The Cousins and You'll Be the Death of Me, and both of those I wasn't hugely impressed by. The Cousins was a 3-star read, You'll Be the Death of Me was a low 4, but I've heard those 2 are a bit of a dip in comparison to One of Us is Lying, and then people are saying that this one is sort of getting closer back to the level and the quality of One of Us is Lying, so hopefully I will enjoy this one a bit more than the other 2 that I've read. I do actually own One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next, and I will read them eventually, but you know, these things take time. Sorry, my arm is aching. So the other thing that I'm reading right now is I am listening to the audiobook of I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jennette McCurdy. Okay, so this one is the sort of memoir. So that is a memoir by Jennette McCurdy. You would probably know her as Sam from Sam and Cat and iCarly if you watched Nickelodeon back in the day. I never actually watched any of those shows, so I wouldn't have picked up this book ordinarily if it wasn't for the hype around it. But this is her memoir basically documenting her life as a child actress and especially her relationship with her mother, who was very abusive, but people didn't know. So it's kind of about her recounting her experience growing up with this abusive mother, trying to break into the world of acting, and also working with an abusive producer at Nickelodeon. And it's very interesting. So I actually only have an hour left at the time I've started recording this. I actually started it today, or maybe it was last night. I think it was today though. And basically any spare moment I have been listening to this because it's just so compelling. Her writing is incredible. So there is a moment in the book where she does say that she wants to get more into writing and directing because she thinks that's what she'd be better at, and it kind of gets pushed aside. But this book definitely shows that her writing is incredible. And yeah, it's just so compelling, and it's so sad. And it's so sad hearing more and more of these young actors and actresses coming out and talking about how horrific their experiences were and how nobody noticed, nobody tried to help them. Like I said, I never watched iCarly, I never watched Sam and Cat, those weren't my kind of shows growing up. But there's been a lot of discussion around this because she was such a big star as a child, or as a teenager, and for this to all come out that a lot of that is a product of her abuse is quite shocking, really. Oh god, another dog is gonna play with really noisy toys. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try and wrap this up. But yeah, it's shocking, it's really sad, and it's just so compellingly written. And there is a moment in the book where Jennette McCurdy actually narrates this herself, and there's a moment where she is narrating the audiobook and she starts to break down as she's reading this section, and it's the moment that the first time someone has ever kind of suggested to her that her mother might have been abusive, and she has this breakdown recounting what happened when that happened to her. And that got me really bad, because the way she writes it is very much, you recognize this as a human being. This is someone who's really experienced this. It's not just a book. I think sometimes memoirs can be written in a way that it feels like you're reading a fairy tale or a story, but this feels very real. So yeah, I highly recommend it, even if you're not a fan of her previous stuff as a teenager, because I haven't watched any of it, and I'm still really engaging with this book and finding it really interesting. I think it's really important as well to read about what happened to children in the industry in those times, and to remember that it's still happening today. There's still child actors and actresses that are being abused and manipulated by the system now. And so to read the experiences of someone who has gone through that, it's really important, I think. And it's so brave of her to have written this, because she openly talks about the abuse of the creator of iCarly and Sam and Cat, who can't be named, and about her mother. And it's just so... It is so brave that she's done this, and I think it's very well written, so highly recommend it. But I will say it's really important to look up trigger warnings for this book, because a lot happens in it that I didn't know about. Just off the top of my head, there's obviously emotional abuse with her mother, some elements of sexual abuse, eating disorders, discussion of addiction to alcohol, that kind of stuff. So it's a heavy book, but if you can read it, I highly recommend it, because I haven't been able to stop reading it because it's just so compelling. Hello, you're gonna have to ignore the panda eyes because I forgot I had mascara on today and rubbed my face. So moving on. So today I was gonna update more both yesterday and today, and I haven't, and it's like, what, 9 o'clock on Wednesday. 9 o'clock on Wednesday, and I haven't updated yet. But what has been going on? Yesterday I finished I'm Glad My Mum Died. I started it yesterday, I finished it yesterday. It was that good. So as I said in my last little thing, it is a memoir, but you don't need to know Jennette McCurdy to read this, and I stand by that wholeheartedly, because I am vaguely familiar with what she does, but I've never seen any of her stuff, and it was an immediate 5 stars. Immediate 5 stars. I loved it. She was incredible. I cried, and it's so emotional, and I just think it's really, really brave, and it's made me very excited to see what else she does, because she is moving into writing and directing. So I'd love to see more things that she's written, whether that's books, plays, movies, whatever it is that she decides to go and do. I am really interested, because she is an incredible writer, and it's such a tragic story, and it's interesting to read. And yeah, instant 5 stars, highly recommend it. I feel like a lot of people have already read it, because, you know, it is super hyped, super popular, but if you haven't read it yet and you've been thinking about it, do it. What else? I am still reading Nothing More to Tell. I haven't actually read it anymore since I spoke to you yesterday. I meant to, and then I just got crazy busy, and I haven't. But I am about to go and sit down and read for an hour and a half before I put the puppy to bed. So that should be great. I am intrigued by it. I'm about 50 pages in, and it is interesting. But yeah, like I said, I'm a bit worried, because I haven't loved Karen and McManus's books before. Audiobook wise, I decided to listen to a palate cleanser romance, forgetting this one was just straight up erotica, basically. Whoops. But now I'm invested in the story again, because I can't quite remember how it happens, like what happens in this story. So I kind of want to carry on listening to it, but it is 10 hours. So I probably won't listen to the whole thing, because I do have some ARC audiobooks that I could be listening to, and some of them are romances that I can use as a palate cleanser after I'm Glad My Mum Died. So I might switch. We'll see. Probably not today. I don't see myself reading any more audiobooks today. I've kind of done all of my chores and everything today, so I don't have a reason to sit down and listen to an audiobook. But yeah, that's the book update. And then today, I've just been a busy day at work, really. I've finally got some work to do, and it's really difficult. They didn't have any easy bugs left for me to have a look at, so I've been given quite a difficult bug, and it is difficult. And they're totally understanding of that, and they're not expecting me to do it by myself. But yeah, it is very overwhelming and difficult, so that was interesting. And then I went and met my friend Ian for lunch, which was great. That was really nice. Had a long lunch, nice and chill. And yeah, this evening has just been a whirlwind of like cooking dinner, looking after the puppy, cleaning up, and I'm finally at 9 PM sitting down to do something I want to do. So Oh, it's been a long day. Hopefully I'll have more to update about Nothing More to Tell soon. So I have read maybe 20 pages in that hour and a half. Well, I mean, when I said I have an hour and a half until bed, that was like, what, 2.5 hours ago now? And I only read about 20 pages. It started off fine that I decided I wanted to edit a couple of video clips I had for my blog so far, and then doing that, and then I was like, oh, I want to change some of my branding a little bit because it feels a bit outdated, so I did that. That was all fine, but after that I wanted to sit and read, but I just couldn't for very long. If you've never had a dog and you think having a puppy is great, just talk to someone who currently has a puppy who is young, and you will know that it's not all sunshine and roses, because honestly these two dogs that my parents have got have totally made me realise I don't think I want a puppy when I get older. I don't want a dog when I get older because I don't think I can handle this puppy stage again. I don't like it. Her sleep schedule is all out of whack at the moment because when she first came home, our resident family dog, Bailey, was here. So she never really had a night alone, and she did howl the first couple of nights, but only for like 10-15 minutes, maybe half an hour at most, and then she went to sleep because she had him as company. But now my parents are on holiday, and Bailey is at his like doggy boarding, because that was booked in way before we even knew we were getting Letty, and Letty's basically too young really to go to boarding. So I've been tasked with looking after her because I was already signed up for looking after the cats, and I thought it'd be fine because she's so well behaved during the day, and like we've not had problems with her for sleeping for ages, and she's nearly potty trained, but she's getting there, but she's nearly house trained. But all of it seems to have reverted because Bailey's not here. She was following his lead and everything, and now like you take her outside to go to the toilet and she doesn't know what you want her to do, and she just doesn't go to the toilet. So then she pees and she poos in the house constantly, and it's not her fault, and I'm trying really hard to train her, but it's really hard to get her to understand what you want to do in the first place. And she's now back to howling. I think it was about 2 hours last night she howled before she went to sleep. Tonight it's been an hour so far. She's quiet for the moment, which is why I'm recording this, but she probably will stop again in a few minutes because it's a bit soon. And then the problem is she doesn't just still sleep for 8 hours because she needs to go to the bathroom, so she wakes up still at 7 AM and cries. So even if she didn't go to sleep until 1, 2 in the morning, she still needs to get up for her toilet at 7, so I still have to get up then even though she's kept me up that late. And it's just so overwhelming. And then at the same time the cats are now having to adjust to having this new dog in the house, and my parents' cat is doing quite well. I mean, she's a bit freaked, but she's coming back for her food and coming and going. My cat, on the other hand, is just deciding to piss everywhere. Everywhere she's not supposed to. She's done it on my bed twice, once while I was still in the bed, and now she has peed in my boyfriend's overnight bag, on all of his stuff, including on his switch case. Luckily I saw her cleaning it, like scrabbling to cover it, so I figured out what was happening and managed to empty it out before things got too bad. So the switch is fine, but the overnight bag is leather and it has a lining, so it's not something you can just chuck in the washing machine. So she may have just destroyed his leather overnight bag, which was really nice, and she's definitely destroyed the switch case. That's definitely going to have to be replaced, or because she's stressed because there's this little dog in the house that she doesn't know and she doesn't understand. It's been a long evening and I have to go to work tomorrow, and I have to get up at 7 AM and walk this dog, and I didn't realise how bad I don't know, I've never been diagnosed with agoraphobia formally, but I've had my previous therapist said that she thought I was at risk. And honestly, I think in the last few months, the symptoms are starting to show more. I don't know if I would be diagnosed with it now. I don't like to self-diagnose, but I definitely find leaving the house really difficult, and I find being visible in the world really difficult. So having to take this dog out twice a day is really difficult because I have to go and do that, and I have to be visible, and it's hard. And it's just a lot when you've just started a new job and you're trying to understand your new job and you've just been given your first piece of work that's really hard as well. It's just a lot. But yeah, puppies are not all sunshine and roses. They're really hard work, and I honestly don't know if I'll ever get my own one now because this is so much work. But yeah, just I don't know. I just needed to vent a little bit, I guess, and that's what this vlog is doing. I did read 20 more pages of the book, and I am invested, and I am enjoying it more than the previous two. The only thing is, I don't like that Karen and McManus uses multiple perspectives. It just doesn't feel right. It just feels very disjointed. I'm not usually a big fan of multiple perspectives anyway. Okay, I'm back. This angle is not as good as the last one was for me, even though the last one wasn't great either. But anyway, I accidentally cancelled the recording on the last one. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm not usually a big fan of multiple perspectives anyway, but this one just feels kind of awkward. I always find her multiple perspectives a bit weird. There's always one head that I enjoy being in the most that I wish you just stick with, and I wish it was more like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, where you just follow one. Like, for example, in this one you have Bryn, who is trying to solve the murder, and I'd actually much rather just follow Bryn than seeing in the heads of the other people. But you know, that's not how this book works. So we'll see. Maybe it'll grow on me, maybe it'll get better. But yeah, I think I'm about 75 pages in now, so I might go and try and read some more because I'm obviously going to be too stressed to go to sleep. So yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed it gets better. And also, it looks like the puppy might have actually gone to sleep within an hour of crying tonight, which is a big improvement on 2 hours. So ooh, nice improvement. Let's hope I can get something done. Okay, it's been a minute since I updated. Yeah, I've not been reading. What a surprise. Well, I kind of have been, but not enough that I felt like I should update. But it's now 10 PM on Sunday, aka the last day of the vlog, and I haven't updated in like a few days. So, well, I'm still reading Nothing More to Tell, and it's fine. I just think Karen McManus is a very average author for me. I don't think I'm ever gonna like love her books. And I think it's the thrillery way she writes. I just find it kind of frustrating. I'm fairly certain I figured out part of the plot twist of this book. I'm about halfway through. Well, no, I think it's like 57% according to Goodreads through. And I'm fairly certain I've picked up one of the twists, which if a lot of people don't pick it up by this point, I'd be very surprised because it's pretty obviously laid out. Although I will correct myself in a future vlog if that's incorrect. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Not loving it. I was really hoping to love it. I did actually read a graphic novel for October called Issunboshi. It is a retelling of like a folktale. It's an Asian folktale, but I can't remember which specific country or region. Mostly because I found it kind of forgettable. So it's about like a thumb-sized man. So it's not an unfamiliar concept. There is like Thumbelina and I can't bother, is it Tom Thumb? Is that the other one called in the West? Those are kind of Western versions of this folktale. This is an Asian folktale, and about how he's part of this like he's the spirit of this weapon. this ancient weapon that needs to be put together to save the world. It was fine. I liked the art style, I liked the characters. My biggest gripe was that it was in black and white, and it looked like it was a colour graphic novel that had been printed out black and white by mistake. It just didn't look good. It looked really flat. It was really hard to stay engaged because the art just felt really flat after that. Like, the drawings themselves were amazing, but I felt like without the colour, you just couldn't get the detail and the emotion that the author was trying to get across. It was still a 3-star read because I thought the story was really good, well paced, well written, interesting to read, but as a graphic novel, it just didn't hold up for me. So that is for the graphic novel prompt for October. But yeah, we're now 9 days in. I've only finished one arc, which is not great, but I did start the audiobook for Babel, which I have through NetGalley. So I've only listened to the first chapter, but it's good progress. So I'm going to carry on reading Nothing More to Tell, and I'm hoping to finish that in the next couple of days. And then after that, I don't know what I'm going to pick up. I'm just going to be picking from my NetGalley backlog, and honestly, I might pick some middle grades because I'm feeling something light, easy, quick reads, maybe some romances, I'm not sure, because I will be listening to Babel on the side, and Babel's quite heavy. And I'm also just about to start a buddy read of You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thao with my friend Connor, and that book apparently is going to make me cry. It's apparently really, really sad, so I think some more light-hearted middle grades and romances on the side will be better. I do have what looks to be a steamy romance on my NetGalley TBR, so I might pick that one up as well next, but we will see. If you want to stay like more intimately updated, I will say to follow my Instagram stories, because that's where I'm updating more frequently. But yeah, I wish I could give you more of an update. I think with Nothing More to Tell, part of it is I don't enjoy the duality of Bryn and Trip. I will say they're very, very different narrators. They are very distinct, which I find sometimes with multiple POVs they're not, but I will say Karen and McManus is good at that. They're two very distinct voices, very distinct stories, but I feel like it's not adding anything for me, having them as separate POVs. I don't feel like Trip in particular is adding anything for me. A lot of it I feel like could be found out through Bryn's perspective and it wouldn't have any difference. Maybe that will change as we get further into the story. But yeah, it's yes, no, like Trip gets some of the reveals, but I do feel like they could have just been like, he gets the reveals and tells them to Bryn, who then tells us from her POV. And I have that issue with a lot of multiple POV books there where they're not necessary, and I feel like Karen and McManus loves multiple POV for her thrillers and her mysteries, and I'm not about it. I much prefer being in Bryn's POV to Noah's, mostly because Noah as a narrator is very clearly hiding a lot more from the reader than Bryn is, because Bryn is the sort of the investigative reporter of this book, and then Noah is essentially a witness / suspect in the book. So yeah, it's a lot. I much prefer being in Bryn's head than Trip's, but we'll see. I'm like I said, I'm about 57-ish% through, so see how it goes, and hopefully I will update you a bit more later about how I got on with whatever I read before I go to bed. But yeah, I'll see you then. Okay, I'm just editing and I realised I forgot to wrap up this vlog, but I started You've Reached Sam. I read the first 100 pages last week and it's good. More readable than I was expecting it to be. I'm enjoying it. I am not really sure where it's going. It's quite YA literary fiction, I would say. Very emotional, but less emotional than I thought it was going to be. So I'm enjoying it so far. My next vlog will have more thoughts, feelings, updates about this book. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to see more content from me. All of my social media links are down in the description below. And if you'd like to leave me a comment to let me know you are here, leave me a flower emoji in the comments below. Thank you again.